And I'd say a good afternoon to everyone here. How are you all doing this afternoon?
A little tiring, but nothing much to complain about.
All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Uh, well, I know it's a Tuesday. It's it's a tough time in the week, but it's a nice time to also know a little bit about something and grow to become a little bit better. Every Tuesday right now for the next couple of weeks, we will be having this social media session where you're learning to grow in terms of building your following, building attention on your brand, where you can definitely become greater and so much better. And again, this afternoon we do have Giselle Aguilera Steele with us this afternoon. Hi, Giselle.
Hi, afternoon, guys.
Right. I'm not gonna give you all the whole rundown like we did last week. I'm just gonna let her go straight into it. So
Right.
go ahead, Giselle. So what do
Aw-
you?
Awesome. So today again, Kelly and I would be going through some information with you all to help you all along your creative process. Um, did anyone do the assignment? Was anyone able to do the assignment? Janelle, Granon, Leonardo, talk to us. Let us know.
Unfortunately, I was a delinquent in the group. I did not remember.
Okay, so you have two assignments, us one from this week and one from last week.
Well, here what going on. I was caught up the whole week, but yet still, I just made my video. I
Really
just made my video.
awesome.
Yeah, and I did. I think I did the transaction of the profiles was yesterday or
Oh,
day before.
the update, the bio update.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Somebody
Forgive
remind
me,
me what
but
the assignment was again, because I was looking for it before the session to try to do it, but I couldn't find where I put it. I couldn't find
it
what it
was
was.
it was to create a 10 to 20 seconds video
Okay,
about the hooks that was used.
Mm. So using the visual, the audio, the text hooks, and also to update your bio on Instagram.
Yeah, but please
okay,
forgive me.
gotcha.
But when I tend to be around people with different accents, I just tend to adapt. So please forgive me.
No problem. All right, so let me share slides with you guys.
You wanna go through Ganon's video first, or
Yeah, we can go into it. Let me not share. So, Brennan, go ahead and share screen and share the content for us. Brennan, you can hear me?
okay? Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not hearing any audio. I don't know if it's just me or.
You probably need to also click share audio when you're sharing the screen.
You seen the sharing screen, right?
Yeah, we're seeing, but we're hearing.
Yeah, yeah, we saw the screen sharing, but the audio didn't share at the time.
I don't hear anything. But anything?
No, we're just waiting for Brennan to share the video that he would have done. Brennan, you want to drop the link for it in the chat, or maybe Giselle, you could share it from there?
Yeah, let me do that.
Yeah, as it's on TikTok.
I just shared it.
Okay, no problem. The hell, why I'm not getting it?
I think it's
You're not
muted.
getting it.
Check the little sound button at the bottom of the video. It looks like it's muted.
You don't hear him?
No.
Hearing anything?
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I'm not hearing it. Hearing now?
Yeah, it's soft. Are you in Google Chrome? Are you using Google Chrome, Giselle?
Safari.
Ah, yeah, it tends to. I realize that sometimes that happens with Google. Let's see what we can do with the workaround.
Kels, you want to try sharing it? I don't know if it might be better.
Let's try.
Alright, hear this. A Bajan and a Trinidadian. I'll be like house with a Vinci man, right? You was so. You was I not know. Alright, hear this. A Bajan and a Trinidadian. I'll be like house with a Vinci man, right? You was so. You was I not know. Try them like a vex and they start cross over a piece of bread. One piece of bread. Bread none of it them. So then decide they going to do. So then go sleep and who get best dream, then go eat the bread. You was so. The Vinci man jump up and say, but me dream, we been in a party, boy, but me dance, man, real girl, boy, enough girl, man, tell you. Trini man jump up. Well, I can tell you, boy, but I go up to heaven, boy, I dream, I been up heaven, but I land with a sweet archangel, we. Yeah, boy, telling you. Beja man no. Beja man say, man, I say, since you, the Trinidadian, went to heaven, and the Vinci man then party. I say y'all ain't coming back. So I wake up. When I wake up and I eat the bread. God bless all you.
You were
Was that coming?
able to.
If I was able,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're able to hear it.
yeah, we were able to hear.
Nice.
Thanks, Renan.
Thanks, Granon. That was cool. You wanna discuss it or you wanna just like wait till the end and apply the principles that we discussed today to his video?
We could go ahead and discuss it.
Okay. All right. So, Granon, the video that you did, it was good in the sense of it was entertaining. You had a very good presence in front of the camera, so you could see that you don't have a shyness in front of the camera, and you felt very comfortable to speak. The things that probably we would have spoken about that could have been applied is like using a hook at the beginning of the video to kind of grab a person's attention a little bit more. So just a comedic one-liner that would just start off summarizing the story that you were going to tell, and just having people engage with it. And
Like
I
same
would have
story
liked,
time. Sorry.
yeah, you could say like story time about a Bajan and or a Trini, or something more catchy in the sense of something that will spark that interest into the video. Or you could have adapted as well. Taken on I know you did it just before the session started, so I know there's a time limitation there. But if you were doing it in a more serious capacity, to create videos for yourself, you could actually perform both characters. Just like how we would have shown with Kyle or Certified Samson like last week. Basically, because you have the accents that you could perform, basically just defining what your characters look like and using different camera angles to give the viewer a different point of view and keep them visually entertained. But yeah, and yeah, just kind of clean up the audio a little bit so that we can hear clearly, because and add in the captions, because with Caribbean people sometimes it's difficult to understand different accents throughout, plus even on an international scale. So it's always helpful to just throw in the captions there that keep people more engaged and entertained in it. Um, but it was a really good job though, and a really good attempt.
Okay, thank you very much.
I agree, Brennan. In terms of being comfortable in front of the camera, you didn't display any shyness or anything like that. Um, so being able to engage with the audience, that is something that a lot of creators have issues with, especially when they're starting off. So that's good that you were able to, have a presence and, be comfortable with it. Also, as Kelly said, the audio. So just check your audio when you're filming to ensure that you're getting the best quality. Later on in today's session, we will look at certain tools and so forth for assisting with your shoot to help enhance. But good, that's a good start.
Yeah, okay, thanks. But I believe probably because I had the phone in my hand, so my finger was probably blocking some part of the mic, so I believe that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that could
but
be it.
as pertaining to what Miss the other teacher said, that was my plan, was to like do multiple characters, but how I didn't have the time at the moment, so that was it.
Yeah, but you can see that you're in front of the camera. So, you know, I see like you had a little facial expression when we said that. So maybe you have a bit of shyness in yourself that you probably think that you're not responding well, but you are. Um, just to give you a bit of reassurance in that space, you look very comfortable in front of the camera. What I would say is that your eye contact to where your camera lens is, because you could see that that little bit of shyness kind of comes out there. To engage either with the opposite side. So if you're discussing with a person, you can have like a mark or something on this side so that you have the eye contact to the individual, or you put a mark on your phone as to where your eye line is. But we'll actually discuss that a little bit further down in one of today's topics. So teaching you how to frame yourself within the camera so that you can have a better clarity as well. And then also just maybe prop your phone up on something. If you don't have like a little tripod or anything like that, you could always use some boxes and stack them up, or makeshift some things that fold it up at good angles to kind of capture yourself, and you have freedom to use your body to convey body language as well.
Yeah, thanks. That was very good criticism. Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Um, Janelle, Janelle,
Yeah,
Janelle.
and to add to what you say, yeah, I am an entertainer. I do perform, so I'm not really shy with crowds. So yeah,
Oh yes, you do calypso and soca.
yes,
I'm trying to see a screen here. All right, so jumping into the session today, what we'll cover is brand photography, content creation, and planning. I know last week, Janelle, you said that you you had the ideas, but in terms of planning the content, um, sometimes you have issues with that. So we'll dive deeper into that today, as well as tools for filming your content and monetizing on Instagram in the Caribbean.
Awesome.
Right. So brand photography. So what brand photography really is being able to put some of your personality in photos. So, branding photography aims to communicate your brand's personality and style in a visually captivating way, um, and also to bring out a bit of who you are. If it's as an artist, an influencer, whatever creative you might be. It is creating imagery which shows off a brand to your potential customers, and it tells a story of who you are, what you do, and why you are doing it. So it will help you to attract your ideal clients and help you to make your sales or gain followers. So when you think about this as well, if you look at some of the influencers within this space, a lot of them would be assigned to particular brand deals that align with who they are as well as creators. So it's important as well when you're doing your brand photography to also keep in mind who you are and who you're looking to attract in terms of business partnerships, um, or even just your presence within the social space. So this is Kelly's forte, so she will dive a bit deeper into brand photography.
All right, guys. So, um, this year, this is an example of a photo shoot, a branding photo shoot that I did with a friend of mine who is a woman's holistic wellness and nutrition coach. Quite a mouthful. Um, but as you can see here, these photographs, without knowing who she is, you get an idea of what her messaging says and what she's about, because you're seeing elements within the space of that she's with that basically reflects the messaging that she wants to convey and the levels of, well, where her profession lies. We're looking at different props within the space that reflect one, her brand colors, to the content in which she speaks about. Um, so now you probably look at these and think, well, how can I achieve something like this? This probably was done with cameras, all of these different things. Yes and no. Um, so this is actually one of the earliest shoots that I would have done on brand photography. This was shot on in a singular room, on a white wall, and we used various less minimalistic amounts of props to actually get some form of messaging across. A lot of these were done, some of them were done via camera, some of them were done via phone. And a lot of it, there were little edits that were done to them afterwards to kind of bring in things like different contrasts and colors and stuff. But more or less, this brand, these photos actually reflect her brand in a very unique way, in the sense of that different elements of her brand identity, like the colors that she uses, um, health and wellness. Her brand colors are this plum color and green, um, with a bit of yellow in there. You get a sense of who she is as a creator, and a sense of warmth, a sense of, from her attire, you can assess that she's a professional in her field and she's an approachable individual as well. From the books that she is conveying, you sense the depth of knowledge of what she carries as well. So if you're a person who is looking to transform their health and wellness, um and have a bit of like nutrition coaching and that sort of thing, and you were to come across someone on social media with these sorts of images, it will basically give you an idea of how credible in the space she really is. um so we can actually, we could switch the slide, Giselle. Um, right. So here we have another coach. So likewise, these two individuals are within the same field. However, they, as you can see, there's a difference. In some cases, using the same sort of setup, same sort of props in the different spaces, but their brands are somewhat similar, yet they're identifiable to their unique styles. So, likewise, in sorry, one second. Right. Likewise, in this space, you can see clear cut imagery here, and these photos will basically give the audience first impressions of these individuals. So basically, people will judge a brand's professionalism based on the consistency, the quality of the images that they put out there. You can also use these types of photographs for your websites, for marketing materials, and there's a sense of cohesiveness throughout. And as Giselle would have mentioned, it creates now um, a brand personality and showcases the individual's personality in this space, right? We can switch to the next one as well. Oh, we only did two here. Okay, right. So one of the other things that we would talk about too with brand photography is the emotional connection that is conveyed across these images, what it communicates, and the values that this individual has. So whilst this young lady is a mindfulness coach, you can see that in some of her imagery where she is more in serene settings where she wants to take on, she has photographs of her doing tasks and organizational things. Um, and once again, the color schemes that she used reflects different emotional cues within the mind. So it's a blend of both headshots and portraits to show the people behind the brand. Some of it we try to adapt a bit of lifestyle within it, and in essence, these can now be adapted to different graphic designs, different videos if some persons want to use them within carousels as well. You can convey them and use them as cover photos in those spaces. So, just the key principles for your brand photography, you want to look at consistency. So, having lighting that is bright and you can see the quality of the images, you can actually resonate and relate to the individual um, that you're seeing these images with. You want to look at consistency in colors, consistency in the style of edits that you're putting out. So you don't want to have one photograph that is completely different from the other. And just sometimes with social media, especially on Instagram, you'd want to have consistency in your grid so that when someone lands and they see your grid, um, each one of them convey a certain mood or tone, and you can actually use these photographs to do a bit of storytelling. Um, these types of photographs also you can add to say that it leads to a bit of authenticity, showing your the employees in some spaces if it's a business or if you are running your own self-made business, showing yourself in these real spaces and like within real
Excuse
stories.
me, am I the only person not seeing the display? It's only has picture of Giselle. I'm not seeing the display. I thought it was gonna come down, but the pictures that you were showing disappeared on my end. I'm not sure if I'm the only person.
Just you wanna like, yeah?
1 second. Are you seeing them?
Still just seeing Giselle is presenting, but not seeing what the pictures that she had up first. All it says is Giselle is presenting, and I'm seeing Giselle's picture, but not the presentation.
I'm seeing the presentation.
Yeah.
Same
Oh,
here.
so I don't know what I'm supposed to do to get it back up.
Probably try logging out and logging back in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
So you wait for her to log back in.
Yeah. So you can see what we're working with. Janina, are you seeing the shared slides now?
Yeah, you're seeing it.
I still seeing Giselle is presenting. I don't know. I'm
Okay,
hearing,
let me
just not
stop
seeing.
sharing. Let me stop sharing and reshare and see if that works.
And I actually changed devices. I logged on a different phone. I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it now. Brand photography. Yeah, I'm seeing
Okay.
it now.
Right. Can you see that?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the presentation is purple. No, it's gone again. Something, I don't know. They're gone back to Giselle is presenting. So maybe it's something on my end, but I don't know. Because when you were sharing it a while ago, I was seeing it, and then it just disappeared to Giselle is presenting.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Mhm. Still seeing Giselle is presenting.
Helps you seeing it on your end?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
So I don't know. Let's just continue. Don't let me hold up this row.
Okay. Hopefully it will down. Okay. So the brand photography, there are different types of brand photography. Um, one of the main types that actually show individuals behind the brand is the headshots and portraits. Um, those help the audience to connect with the individual. If you are someone who has a brand itself and you have like logos, for instance, Janelle, you work with a carnival brand. There's a young man in last week's session who had a music brand. So instead of just showing the brand's logo, um, you actually want to show the audiences who they're working with and have them connect with that. Then there's the lifestyle photography. So it's basically showcasing whether it's if you're in the mass band or if you're performing somewhere, it's basically showing a real life use of um of your brand. So for instance, if you are in a mass band, you want to showcase photos of individuals wearing the costumes or um that sort of thing. Inclusive of that is like behind the scenes photos, where you could get to show a bit of your process, your team and your workspace. Um, and likewise, so that's basically showing your service or whatever you're trying to articulate to the audience in action. Um, and then if individuals are in a space of having products that they want to share, for different types of things, if they are marketing for a brand or if they have been, develop their platforms and become influencers, and then they have to showcase different brands and brand products. You want to be able to do product photography, which is like clean, detailed shots of your products, and both you can do it in context of an environment where it should be used, or stylized, where it's like on different flatly black backgrounds or white backgrounds, or adding different details of the shot, including like visuals that represent the brand creatively. Um, then we look at what are the principles for strong brand photography, which was actually we looked at that before. That was the consistency, use making sure that you have on brand colors, your mood and your tone in which that you want to convey. So if you are more of a corporate look, you might want to have something more serious, more educational. If you want to have a carnival look, you want to have something more playful and energetic and exciting. Um, if you want to have something more high end, you want to have something that is luxurious in look, and basically your tones and the mood must match the vibe of your brand. Um, and of course storytelling, which each one of your photos should basically say talk about or visually represent rather the brand's personality and mission, or what that customer lifestyle should look like. um and you want to have, above all of those things, authenticity. So people tend to connect with realness. So showing the real stories, showing the real spaces, showing the real faces behind whatever you're creating works. Um, in terms of tips for creating a brand and having like what your brand photography should look like, you can basically create what's called a mood board. You can collect inspiration that matches your brand style. You can plan out like a short list beforehand. So you know that, all right, I want to create a content bank worth of shots that I can use both as um, photography for my feed on Instagram, as well as um, photos for your stories, as well as covers for your videos that you're posting. So taking shots of, or planning shots of headshots or workspace or your products, and use whatever it is that you're using. Basically, you want to pre-plan that so you know exactly what you're shooting beforehand, and on the day of your shoot, it saves you a lot of time. You want to use props and environments. So, in a carnival space, you're going to have things like glitter and beads and feathers and, all of these different items that you can use to frame your focus on your subject. You want to look at locations that reflect your brand's vibe. If you're at home, you can use, well, there's actually the use of AI that can be implemented with your photography. So if you're at home and all you have is a basic flat colored wall. You can do your poses in different styles and different things that exudes the personality through expressions. Remove your background and replace it with different things in a seamless manner that could convey your different brand, that the way that you want to convey your brand. Then you want to pay attention to your wardrobe choices. Finding colors that match your brand's palettes, and you don't want to do something that is too overwhelming on the eyes and too chaotic in vision. You want to avoid like clashing patterns and having environments that are overly busy, because you want to be able to stop the scroll and also have individuals who are scrolling see it and also connect with it in a very quick paced manner. Um, and then you want to look at lighting. So the cheapest form of lighting is natural light from our wonderful sun. God's greatest creation of the sun, basically, golden light hours, morning time or afternoon time, around that 5 to 6 area where the sun is like setting and it casts beautiful golden light. If you're outside, that's you want to go against the light and film your content. It captures your skin tones beautifully. It's very flattering to the eye, um and it's cost effective. So for consistency, you want to like shoot at the same time of the day. um in paid light, I know a lot of people go towards ring lights. I tend to stray from advising people with ring lights, because ring lights basically they don't cast the light out evenly. And you also get that reflection in your if you wear glasses and stuff. um it's not the most flattering in terms of the look that comes from it. So instead of that, I recommend like softbox lighting, because you can invest in a cheaper version of a softbox for probably around 50 US or so, in order to get that. Then you also, in terms of your photography is not just for social media. Um, if eventually you want to develop something like a website, or you want to do print media, you want to be able to capture as much of like authentic photography that is clean and um, both in horizontal and vertical formats for flexibility and ease of use for the different spaces. Um, Now, some people, you would see that some persons use videos where they put like photographs in there, and sometimes they might just go on Google, pull a photo off of Google, um, or they might license a photo, something that is like stock photography. So, stock photography is kind of generic and anyone can use it. It should mainly be used in graphic design more than to just be displayed on your platform, because it does not lend to authenticity, and you don't people don't resonate with that. So your brand photos are unique to you, and it communicates your identity directly. So your audience tends to trust those authentic visuals more than staged or stocked images, because you never know if that person is trying to create some form of image of themselves that they have this quality of product. If it is a product, and social media is a space where you want to have as much authenticity as possible. um in terms of your benefits of doing brand photography, there's a lot of um benefits in basically stockpiling your brand photos. You can basically pre-plan what, so you can go to different resources like Pinterest or Google, whatever the case may be, look at other individuals, brand photography, and um, headshots and these different things within your space. See the type of photos that they take, whether they take them with phone or they get it professionally done. Doing it yourself obviously would be the most cost effective. Um, but having a strong library of those brand photos, you basically have ready to go content for months. Um, and that helps you save time. So when you're posting to social media or you're creating ads, it creates a level of consistency. You have a content bank of which you can pull from. If you are tired at some point or your work runs late or life happens and you just need to put something out on social media, you have things, just ready to post, that you can basically use in that space. So for these shoots here, these individuals would have done photography shoots that basically they did a content bank that would have lasted them would well basically it would last them for the next 6 to 8 months of the year. Um well, this was done earlier in the year, so it's some time has passed. So they can now utilize these photos in different ways, whether it's website covers, in reels, all these different things. There's actually even some AI now that can, actually turn your photos into videos. So, if you want to do something fun and you're creating funny content and that sort of thing, those things come into play as well. So yeah, that's basically a synopsis on brand photography there. That Giselle, pass it back to you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Problem.
Anyone had any questions in terms of brand photography? Needed any clarification? Janelle, Brennan, Ulysses.
Well, it was pretty straightforward, so I don't think so.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward.
Okay. Ulysses, did you
Yeah,
do
I'm
the
good.
assignment? Awesome.
I didn't hear you.
Did you get a chance to do the assignment?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Okay, if you want, we could share, drop the link in the chat.
Okay, no problem.
All right. So Kelly, we'll take a look at his assignment and then we will jump back in.
No problem.
Kels, can you share it from your end? Oh. You'd have done the bio update.
Okay. Um. Right. So it's a posted to the bio.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Well, so far it looks good. You were able to take the first line and let persons know what you do. So music, guitarist, In terms of the profile photo, the logo works. It's a good quality and so forth. Like stories into melodies, right? So you give persons an idea of what you do. So you're taking your own experiences and sharing that through your music, encouraging faith, love, and hope. Right? And then you have the link. So that was good.
Thank you.
Welcome. Did you do a video as well?
No, I didn't get a chance to do the video.
All right, no problem. Andrew, I saw you just joined. Andrew, can you hear us?
Sorry, yes, I can. Can I jog in a few things? Yes, I can.
Okay. Were you able to do the assignment?
No, I was not on social media for the week.
Okay, no problem. All right, so we are going to jump into content creation. So content creation basically is being able to put together whatever your thoughts and ideas are into an effective plan that you will then utilize to create your content. All right. So when you think of creating your content, the first thing I would gravitate to is actually creating content pillars. So you might ask, what are content pillars? Basically, it's putting together specific topics or themes based on your particular art form or service, and you utilize those themes to create content from. So the main themes or topics your brand consistently creates content around is what your content pillars really are, and they act as the foundation of your content strategy and helps to ensure that every post aligns with your brand goals. So as Kelly would have mentioned before, if it is you're looking at building a brand, the brand being yourself or a particular product or service, you want to be able to align in terms of your photography, the look and feel of your profiles, as well as the themes that you're using. All right. And then you would look at batching content. I know that a lot of you are quite busy. So in order to be able to be consistent on social media, what I'll do is share the slides after the class. What you can do is put together your content, like let's say you're scheduling 1 day or 2 days for putting aside to actually film or create graphics and so forth. It's better to batch your content, especially if you're really busy, so that you will be able to be consistent on your platforms. All right. And then setting up your shoot. So when, where, and how you're going to shoot your content. So some examples of content pillars, for instance, if it is you are a musician, you're looking at doing at least 3 to 5 content pillars or themes that you can utilize to pull content from. So how it usually works, let's say, okay, as a musician, you're doing performances, you're showing persons your behind the scenes, your day-to-day life as a musician, going to shows, or whatever it may be. When you're planning your content, you plan what specific days you are dropping particular themes or particular reels, graphic images, or carousels related to your content pillars. So if you're an artist, a musician, you showcase your new releases. So as Odysseus did when he did the video last week, so he showcased the new song release. He had a video for it. So that could be a specific content pillar bucket that he utilizes every time he produces a new single or a new album. Also showing snippets of the process. So if it's the behind the scenes of that shoot, getting ready, um, going to the locations to do the shoots and so forth, all those things can be utilized for content. Using the things like the behind the scenes are really good as well to post on your stories. So it helps to engage, keep your audience engaged, and also help them to see who you are behind the music, behind the scenes, behind the profession or the perfection of what you're actually doing. And also, as Kelly mentioned, what's going on with social media now, persons want to see a human aspect when it comes to your content. So yes, the clean cut graphics and so forth has its place, but even big brands are utilizing influencers or doing ads the way a creative would do or the way an influencer would do. So like if it's a new, let's say it's a cookie company, they may have an ad where someone is just at a cafe eating a regular person and that sort of thing. So connecting with your audience in an authentic way is really what you're looking at doing as a creative. So for instance, for someone like Janelle, let's say Carnival is coming and you're preparing your bands, the costumes and so forth. What you can do is show behind the scenes of the creation, a day in the life of going to the particular location to get started working. If it's shipments coming in, you can utilize that as well for content to showcase the persons what it goes into creating whatever craft it is that you're doing. Also utilizing who you are as a Caribbean person. I think Jamaicans have been able to really own in on this one, where they are able to be authentically themselves. Even if persons may not understand them, they may not divert from their dialect. So utilizing your dialect, your different tones and twangs and so far and so forth is also a good way of showcasing your culture and who you are as a Caribbean person. All right, so we would have talked about behind the scenes or even topics like inspiration for your art, utilizing that as well for content helps to create the bridge between you and your audience. So when we talk about batching your content, the first step you will have to do is plan. So first things first, get a notepad or use whatever notes app within your phones or computers and plan out what content pillars you want to showcase. So again, going back to like a musician, okay, you have 2 new songs you're going to release for the month. You know, you're going to do content behind that. So your studio sessions, if you're doing photo shoots, video shoots, those sorts of things, you plan content around that. Batching it now is knowing that you will be going to specific locations and being able to say, okay, I'm going to XYZ location at this day. This is likely expected to happen. This is the kind of content that I will try and obtain once I'm there. So identifying your content pillars is the first step in your planning of your content, and then also deciding how many pieces of content you will be pushing out per week is also necessary in terms of helping you to stay consistent. As new creators, consistency is one of the biggest things that you will have to focus on. Once persons start to see that you're consistent, then they can start to relate to the brand or your art form or service. And that is usually what helps to get you organic conversion in your beginning stages. Choosing as well the platforms that you will be shooting on. So that is also necessary in terms of planning your content. So you will know what sort of equipment and so forth will be necessary and how to utilize the equipment, whether it's for whatever ratio or the positioning of the camera, as Kelly would have mentioned, lighting and so forth. Also taking into consideration all of those things. And also for the planning of the content is putting together a strategic plan or a content calendar. So you can utilize things like Google Sheets. Canva also has templates where you could create content calendars. There are paid services like Bootcamp and so forth, where you can also utilize to kind of map out your content in terms of what day you're going to put it, when you're going to post it, and what tools or platforms you're posting to. When it comes to writing your script, what I would say is you can utilize AI to assist you with your creative process. Now, AI might be something that you, let's say you put in a prompt and you would get a response. It may not speak to you as a Caribbean person. So using that as a base to really kind of fine tune what it is you want to say, it can help in your creation process as well. So I would have prepared some prompts, right? What I would say is when you're using AI, whether you're using Gemini or ChatGPT or any of the forms, is to be as specific as possible. So the more specific you are, the better the AI will be able to create a response that is a bit better suited for you as an individual. All right, so this prompt example was for a mass creator. So create a behind the scenes script for SVG Carnival. I'll be taking part in the mass celebrations as a carnival creator. Help me to write a script that showcases our culture while showing how enjoyable our mass is and highlighting our band costumes. This will be for a 30-second reel. Let it be light, engaging, fun, and embodies our culture. Create a script, a short list, and a caption to accompany this, and it will be used for Instagram and TikTok. So as you can see in the prompt, you're telling the AI what feel you would like, what country it's relative to, how long your reel would be, the tone, the setting, engaging, fun, cultural, and also letting it know you would like not only a script but a short list as well, and what platforms you are using it for. So the AI would be able to know what would be the best formats for these particular platforms. So these were the results from that prompt. So the opening 5 seconds, it would be music playing, carnival vibe starts. So for this particular one, there's a voiceover script. So in the case of Janae last week, like when you would have done you would have showcased your video, and you would have done the voiceovers. This is a good way to kind of plan out your content so you can utilize AI to help you. So you would know as well what shots to take when you go in to capture your footage. And you can do your voiceovers beforehand as well. So SVG Carnival vibes start long before the road. Every gem, every feather, every detail is a piece of culture. So it's telling you what to say at each point. That also tells you what shots to take. So quick clips of the feathers, the sequins, the sewing, the costumes. So it's very detailed. So as I said, the more context you give the AI, the more context it can give you in terms of creating your scripts as well as creating your short list. It tells you slow motion clips of the dancers in the full costumes, spinning, feathers, catching the sun, and that sort of thing. And to end it off, the music builds to a hype and then the beat drops. And you can either end with your logo or yourself waving to the camera or kissing the camera, as the case may be. But even if you're utilizing AI, try and make it still yours. So put in your personality. So like Janelle, you had a very engaging voice. So like voiceovers would be a thing that can really push your page forward. For Lysias, when you would have showcased your video, even doing like screenshots with captions or behind the scenes before actually showcasing the video as well, that can help. for Grennan in terms of doing content around the like your food and like items that you do as a chef. Show the prep, show yourself turning on the burner, show yourself you could be doing a voiceover while all that is going on, different colors, different tones, things that will help to engage your audience as you go. So this was the examples that they would have given in the short list. So you're seeing the sequence being glued, feathers, someone adjusting their costume, models in a mirror, working on the designs, wide shots. They tell you which one should be close-ups, medium, wide shots, energy moments. So quick cuts of a wine and jump or weaving of a rag, and you in a costume winking or like a playful dance to help end it off. So all of these things the AI would be able to give to you. But as I said, ensure that you make the content or the creation process your own. Let the audience be able to see your personality and who you are, even if you are using AI to assist with your content creation. And then they also give a caption. So behind the scenes of Carnival, every feather, every gem, every stitch is a story of our culture, of freedom, and our joy. This is what it feels like to live our mass. In terms of putting in hashtags, do not do more than 5, 3 ideally. Make sure that it is relative to your particular industry as well. In terms of the caption itself, utilize keywords that are also relative to your industry, because this would help in terms of if, let's say, somebody is searching for mass bands in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Once they do the search, your content will also come up because your keywords would have also been within the caption. And Instagram has now been able to place its platform in such a way that even when persons do Google searches, your content can come up from Instagram on Google as well. All right, in terms of gathering and preparing your assets, when you're preparing your content, once you know, okay, what content you will be doing, you have your scripts and your short list. Now you have to think about your wardrobe. So gathering your outfits, your makeup, if you have to do your hair, if it's props, so it might be a car for a prop or whatever it might be, gearing up and ensuring that you have the right props to be able to put together the film or the reels as needed. Making sure that your cameras are charged as well. So ensure that you have a backup battery if it is you're utilizing a camera, if it is you're utilizing a phone, just ensuring that you know how long you'll be able to film on your device before you might be able to lose charge, or ensuring that you have chargers and so forth so you could charge back up to complete your shoot. Lighting and so forth, Kelly will go more in depth into that a little later. And if it is you need any assets like downloading music and so forth that will go along with your content, doing some research as well on trending audio. On Instagram, usually the trending audio is a little more Americanized, but trending audio based on the season, for Carnival, there are certain songs that would resonate wherever you are in the Caribbean. So utilizing that and keeping your ears on the ground in terms of what that should be. Filming all your videos and filming additional content and ensuring that you back up your content on a separate drive, so that if for some reason there's an issue with the device, you would have already dumped the files, the raw files, into an organized folder on your system or so. Editing and finalizing your content. So programs that you can use to actually edit your content will be like CapCut, InShot, Premiere. Um, there's a free version of CapCut, InShot as well. Premiere might be a paid subscription. In terms of designing your artwork, you can utilize Canva for that, the free version, or if you pay for the pro version, or Photoshop if you're doing a subscription. When shooting and editing and finalizing the content as well, ensure that your fonts and so forth are consistent and and in line with your branding. So make sure it's a consistent style, consistent font, consistent colors. Last week, like when we looked at Kyle's profile, you would have seen that he uses a particular yellow font for each of his videos. So it's consistent throughout. Ensure that you check your quality in terms of your audio and make sure that the audio is synced to the device. You might notice that in some videos, some persons might be talking and like their lips are moving, but it's not in sync with the actual video. That's because sometimes persons aren't syncing the audio, they're using an external audio device and it's not synced with the actual footage. So scheduling your posts, um, ensure that you utilize your content calendar to know what dates, if it's 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week you're posting for. Ensure that you're using a scheduler. You can use Meta Business Suite, that's free. There are other platforms like Metricool that you could use later, or Creator Studio that are also paid platforms for actually scheduling your content. Double checking and ensuring that your content is actually scheduled as well on the day, because sometimes with these apps there may be glitches and the content mightn't go when it's supposed to go. So just ensuring beforehand that the content is actually scheduled. And once you have done this, what you would need to do as well is review, look at your analytics, look at what the analytics is saying in terms of how many views you're getting, what is the ratio of your non-follower reach. Non-follower reach is actually, once that is high, it means that outside of your current audience, persons are actually seeing the content on their feed. So utilize that information from your professional dashboard on Instagram or whichever platform you are using to know what they are engaging with and repurposing that content to create similar structured content types. And then adjusting your strategy as you go. So you may look at, okay, reels aren't working for you, carousels is working, or graphic images for some reason do better for you. Whatever content type works for you, create content using that as a template per se to create more content. But also just have fun with it, whatever you're doing, and most times the audience is able to see that you're genuine in terms of how you are putting out your content, and as time goes you will grow. So Kelly, I think we could do a 10-minute break now, and then we could come back to the setting up.
No problem.
All right. So guys, take a 10-minute break. We should be back at 7:16. All right, guys. Are you all able to see the screen?
Yeah, there's an echo.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, are you hearing now, guys?
Yeah,
Okay, awesome. All right, so we are going to deep dive into the tools that you should utilize when filming your content. So Kelly will be presenting on this one.
All right, guys. All right, so most of us here would have access to at least one camera, which would be our phones. What what kind of devices does everybody have? Like, can I get an idea of what we working with? Are you guys using iPhones, Samsungs,
some.
Android, Samsungs? Okay. Um, which models in it? Is it like S lines? Is it the A lines?
The airlines.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
Andrew said S line in the comments.
Okay, nice. So mainly everyone is with Samsungs. Okay. So all right. Well, what we would talk about in that case, so the breakdown that I would have done would have been mainly on iPhones. But the premise still applies across Samsung because they more or less have the same interface. There's just a couple things that are different. And one thing you guys should know that if you are ever going to invest in a personal camera of your own, my advice would be to invest in instead of investing in the camera because you're doing social media, it may be better to invest into one of the higher end or more recent iPhones. This is because there's a user agreement between Apple and platforms like Instagram and Meta, where there's only one back-end coding process when you upload your videos to these platforms. So the content itself is displayed at a higher quality than those of Samsung and Android because they go through different coding processes um, when you upload. So, in order to retain as much quality as possible, um, Apple tends to have a better quality in terms of doing content for social media when it comes to Instagram and Facebook. Um, However, the Samsung phones are good as well. Once you can match the correct settings and manage the correct settings on your phone. So Giselle would have talked about before. She mentioned short lists. Um, so when you think about a short list, you can think about that as though it's a checklist of visuals that you need to tell your story. And why this matters is that it's basically like the recipe for your video. It keeps you organized and it keeps filming efficient. And you want to do this because you want to maximize on your time. Um, this kind of helps you visualize your final product in your video before you even set out the filming. And then you maximize on your time, you reduce the number of mistakes that you make, you reduce the number of reshoots, and even if it's a short social media clip, you planning your shots beforehand makes the difference between an average or professional looking content because you can curate your shots a little bit better. So in that, um, does you wanna switch to the next slide? Can we actually switch to the slide of actually no. Let's go back. Right. So here we have the interface of your average camera. This is mainly the iPhone, but Samsung more or less would have similar things. Um, you have your main buttons, which are your shutter button, which is that big white circle at the bottom there. That takes your photo or starts recording a video. Um, if you hold this photo, if you hold that button down when you're in photo mode, it actually takes a quick burst of photos. So like as long as you hold it, it shoots consecutive photos, or use quick take to basically compile a list of photos over a couple seconds or however long. That can be utilized if you want that sort of stop motion look in your content. Um, in on your in the photo on your far right, you would see the bar that says photo, portrait, etc. That is called the mode selector or the swipe, where you can basically switch between the different modes of your camera to go from photo to video to portrait, cinematic, slow-mo, time-lapse, or pano. Pano means panoramic, and it's not widely used. Um, in most phones now, it comes with three different lenses, sometimes more. The average phone has about three, and you can set between it's basically switch between an ultra wide, a wide camera, and a telephoto camera. These different cameras are good for different storytelling fields. You can use your wide angle to create a sense of a dramatic space, your ultra wide to set your scene, and that telephoto one to create some form of cinematic portrait. Then you have your flash icon. That is, it can be used in low light settings, auto on and off. Um, the best practice would be to keep it off unless it's creatively needed. Some people like the brand aesthetic of doing flash photography, and just 1 second, guys. I have a little glitch on my end. Right. Sorry. So if you like the look of flash photography, and those are mainly more popular in the US space, with US content creators, they like a bit of more that flash photography organic look. Um, you can use it for low light settings like that. Then you have the live photo icon, which records up to 1.5 seconds before and after a shot. And you can basically create moving images or be converted, that can be converted to short clips. Um, on iPhones, there's a setting called HDR called high dynamic range, and that balances your shadows and highlights in high contrast scenes. Um, and then most phones now have the ability to focus and lock exposure. So if you tap your screen and hold it, or tap at the subject of your on your screen and you hold on it, a yellow box appears, and you can slide up or down to manually adjust the exposure. So how much white light is present, or how much that light is taken away. Um, then we want to look at the grid lines, and as a content creator, the grid lines actually help you to set your frames properly. So you can go into settings, click camera, and tap grid, turn it on. And this helps with the rule of thirds for better framing. I'll go into the rule of thirds for a short bit as well. And the last thing that I'd mention in this area is the timer. So for selfies, group shots, or to avoid the camera shake, if you need to turn on your timer, press record, and then you have enough time to get yourself in position to film um, your scene. So as mentioned, there is the rule of thirds, which is a framing principle. Um, on the screen here, you can see these lines that are basically like little blocks on the screens. What that does, and what you're actually looking at, is the intersection of each line, intersections of each line. Um, so basically, your screen is divided into this grid of 3 by 3, kind of like tic-tac-toe. Um, the idea is to place your subject along those lines, or where the lines intersect. And this is because our human eyes naturally gravitate towards those points. And it creates a sense of balance and tension that feels more professional than just putting everything in the center. Um, it's a universal composition rule where it's used widely in photography, in film, in painting. Um, so if you're filming a person, you would basically, how you do it is you put their eyes to the top horizon line. And this feels more natural. It keeps space for their head, and it doesn't allow you to have too much room above the headspace as well. If you're doing a case where you need to include captions in your video, you can use the rule of thirds to basically align your video appropriately. So your eye line is at that top horizon line, and at the lower one, that lower range, you can basically place your captions along here so people can follow along while looking at you. If you are filming a video where you're either looking left or right, you wanna leave space for looking, which is like a look space, or which is empty space in the direction that you're filming. So if you're along this side, you're gonna leave some space here. Sometimes you see people do video framing where they sit on the side and then they point to different things, or they, illustrate different things on the side. They have different captions playing, that sort of thing. Um, objects within your frame can also be placed off center to create visual interest. And anything that is center shot kind of feels formal. So if you're just sitting like how I am directly in front of the camera, this would be center framed and that would feel a bit more formal. However, utilizing the rule of thirds, it helps to make things more cinematic. It gives you room to breathe as well as to utilize empty spaces in different creative ways. So you can place an object in your bottom right intersection, and that instantly feels a bit more dynamic than if you were to just be center recording at yourself. Um, you can basically turn these settings on by clicking settings, going to the camera option and turning the grid, selecting on with grid. For the next one, just we can move on to the next slide. So not this one. Do we have the slide with the framing and the shot types? The different types of right, nice. So in this slide here, we have a visual example of the camera shots, angles, and movements that individuals can use to basically frame their compositions. At the top, you'd see shot sizes. At the bottom, the different angles. And to the right, you'll see camera and lens movement. So how you would basically move your camera if you are filming for yourself or if someone is filming for you. In terms of framing, there are different sets of framing styles. We can talk about a wide shot, which is it basically gives you a context of where the person is located. So if you want to show to your audience your surrounding, you would use probably that 0.5 setting on your phone to give, which is the wide angle lens, to give the audience a wider exposure to the entire scene or the environment. And we have the medium shot, which is frames where the subject is seen from their waist go up. And these are most common for conversations, tutorials, or casual content. Then you have close-up frames. Close-up frames, you would find tightly focuses on the face or an object, and it's great to express emotions or reactions, or if you're using it for products to see those products in details. Then we have extreme close-up, which focuses on one specific detail, whether it's the individual's eyes, if it's a hand or a logo of some sort. This helps to build the intensity of the shot that you're doing, and grabs an audience's attention like instantly. In combination with the different eye levels, you can basically have a very interesting way of viewing something in a unique perspective. And when things are shot in unique perspectives, people tend to gravitate to it a bit more. Then you have like over the shoulder shots where it's basically someone shot behind. The shot is from behind someone looking at a subject. So it's over the shoulder, like if you have an object in the front of you, the camera is basically capturing the frame of your face and your shoulder from the back into whatever you're interacting with. So we often see these in interview styles where you might get a shot of someone speaking to another person. I think I can actually, at the end of these framings, I will show a video. Just I have a video that I can display for them, right? Um, and then there is the point of view, where audiences basically see through the subject's eyes. These types are of framing is great for tutorials, how to's, or storytellings. It's basically the perspective of what you would be seeing if you were filming something. It doesn't carry any personal viewing. Some people like to use their hands in it. If you have the mount, there's a mount that goes around your neck that you can use. Um, there are some that just film from their perspective, holding their phone cameras downward, and they would work with that. Then we have angles. So there are five, five, six, yeah, six types of angles for shots. We have the eye level angle, which feels neutral, um, natural, and conversational. And then we have the high angle, whereby the camera looks down on the subject, and it makes the subject look smaller. It kind of gives the audience member the idea of that person or object being weaker or in a more vulnerable state. Um, then there is a low angle where the camera looks up at the subject, and that gives the user um, recognition of a feeling of power, and as though this character or this object is larger than life. Um, in this document here, you'd see something called canted, but we could say that's what they call Dutch angle or the tilted angle. Um, Creating using angles like that basically creates a bit of tension or unease. It adds a bit of creative flair for the different things. If you can pair it with zoom ins, or what they call a dolly zoom, which is like moving forward while zooming outward. And then if your frame or your camera is twisting, it creates a sense of like confusion and unease, and like that surreal environment. Um, Next up is the bird's eye, or an overhead look. That looks straight down or directly down from a high angle. That's great for if you're doing flat lay product shots, if you're doing cooking videos or unboxing videos. If you're also filming with a drone and you want to convey a sense of loneliness, sometimes it works in that. It gives a high viewpoint from if you're doing like real estate and stuff. Those are the viewpoints we use for those. Then we want to move on to the camera movement, which is there are different types of camera movements that basically track your subject. If you're looking at a static shot, your camera is going to be locked down, safe, stable, and professional. So that's usually on a tripod, on something that is mounted, something that is stabilized, and it's no movement in the camera. It's all the individuals or the products in the cameras where you would get movement from. Then there's the pan, whereby the camera would swivel from left or right. And it's good for revealing information, as well as it makes for nice transitions. Um, then there's the tilt, where the camera moves up and down. So like over and back, it will add a sense of drama to your shots. the dolly or tracking shots, those are a bit more difficult to do with your camera phones. It's easier to do if you have a handheld or a DSLR or something of that um, format. But it is possible to do with your phone. It just takes a bit of technique and practice where your camera moves with your subject. If you're walking with your phone, and like I said, you zoom out while the individual walks towards, it creates a sense of confusion and it adds a bit of energy to your shot. Um, and then there is the push in or zoom or the walk in, which intensifies focus on a certain subject. And then there's the handheld camera movement. So, like we would have talked about visual hooks last week, kind of just picking up the camera instead of just having the camera smack in front of your face. You could pick up the camera off of a desk, a table, from inside a drawer, whatever the case may be. And that adds more of one, it adds a visual hook, and then it adds a real raw vlog like, type of energy with it. So the movements that you choose to convey basically adds emotion to your scenes. Um, if you're tracking slowly and calmly, that feels more cinematic. It gives a sense of like ease to your viewer. But if your camera is kind of shaky and it's kind of chaotic or handheld, it gives a sense of more urgency, or it feels like a bit more raw in that space, right? Um, I do have a video that I can share. So let me get that for you. Okay. Second. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Okay. Right. So you can let me know if you hear in there as well.
Not hearing Cal.
Okay. One second. Okay. It says that I can't share the audio unless it's in a tab. So just give me 1 second. I'll drop it in Drive so I can share it. And meanwhile, does anyone have any questions? Okay, let me see. So, right. So,
People in Trinidad and Tobago always say that their business isn't doing well anymore, that people aren't spending anymore, that business isn't what it used to be. Today, sir, are you a business owner?
Yes, I am.
And how is your business doing?
But I suppose that it's a sample, but then it's well pressure.
You see what I mean?
What is this like? But I see what now.
No, it's DG Reef. How does your website look now?
What boy? But I look amazing. I just get TCOs like.
At DG Reef, we create websites that convert. We call them Reef pages. These Reef pages are specially designed to attract your ideal customers and clients. Let us help your business gain more revenue and attract your ideal customers and clients. So you could contact us today and we could schedule a meeting via phone call, via Zoom, or our personal favorite, an in-person meeting
at our office.
Yes, business in Trinidad and Tobago can be difficult at times, but sometimes all you need is a splash of something new.
okay. So in that video there, we would have seen different camera angles, the rule of third apply, different camera movements with the subject. We also would have seen different styles of framing. So we had over the shoulder shots, wide shots, medium shots, as well as close up shots as well. And even applying the rule of thirds, where at some point you would see, a text on the side, for him to be able to walk and, have communication as well. So yes, that would basically wrap up the slides. Just I think you would have to share your screen again for the video that is on the tutorial on how the different looking at slow motion as well as time lapse in videos as well. Right, so on your phone, there are settings for slow motion. This is what a shot would look like if it's on your wide lens, which is at the 0.5 wide lens. And if you shoot on slow motion, you're going to capture a few seconds of regularly paced motion. And then your phone slows it down. In your edit, you can actually choose how much of that segment you want to slow down, or you want to, if you want to have a longer length of things. And those shots can make for interesting things, like if you're pouring water, if people are dancing and you want to have like a more slowed effect, you can utilize those styles of filming in your camera, or you can film at a higher frame rate, and in your edit for your using whatever software you're using, you can create slow motion in there. So you can skip to the next slide. Right. So this is just a quick burst of a time lapse shot. On your phone, there's a setting for time lapse. Time lapse works best at a stabilized platform. If you have a tripod or a stand or your phone propped up um at a good angle, utilizing the different angles. If you want to film yourself doing an activity, unboxing something, and you don't want to have to do a lot of cuts, that sort of thing, overhead cooking or whatever it is, you can utilize the time lapse mode to capture content and have it sped up in a manner which you can basically view an entire process as being done in a short span of time. And you can skip here as well. Right. In this video, there's a bit of an explanation or visual representation of adjusting your exposure on your screen. So adding exposure means that more white light is added, then it's taken away if it's reduced. So it works in different settings. If you're outside in the bright daylight, you might want to adjust your exposure. If you're in an area that's pretty dark, you might want to add in a bit more. Likewise, this is a use of your time lapse, and that would have been the video that we saw previously, where you basically select time lapse, have your phone stationary, and record your subject in motion. Slow motion, the exact same thing. You're using the shutter button to basically click record, and in your slow motion settings, you have the use of a 3 times or a 1 times zoom as you go on it. If you're using slow motion as well, this is what your wide lens would look like. The first one would be your standard lens, and the third one would be a zoomed in, cropped in space. If you have if you're filming just on your regular settings, this is once again how exposure works on your phone in the different lenses. You're going to be able to focus based on where you tap your screen on, as where your lens would focus. Under photo, we have different options to film inside of your camera. Basically setting the different zoom lengths to see whether you want a wide shot, a regular frame, or close-up one. I think just this was the second part of the video. So we can go on to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, that's probably the last one. Yeah, this is the same one. That I just want to. Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So that's basically the general gist of the rundown of your camera and your camera settings. There's one other thing that I would explain to you guys. The key settings, basically, the big three, or the three that matter the most in photography and videography. Those three would be shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. Shutter speed, you would find some phones have the ability to adapt to different shutter speeds. Some phones you can download apps on your phone to give you the settings. Like there's the Blackmagic app, which is after the camera brand. Shutter speed basically tells you how long the camera sensor is exposed to light. If your shutter speed is fast or high, it basically freezes motion. So if you're capturing content for sports, it's good for that type of shoot. A show shutter basically adds motion blur or motion trails to it, and it's very good for like creative night shots. So if you ever see those types of videos or photos on Instagram, TikTok, where you have like these lovely light trails. Some people do content in light painting or light photography, where they basically set their shutter at a low speed and use bright forms of light to basically paint, or they create motion with it, and that actually ends out to being really creative shots. So in video, it affects your motion blur, and it adds, you can basically reflect like a cinematic standard to that, where if you double your frame rate, example, using like 1/50th of a shutter at 24 frames per second, you're gonna have that like lovely look and feel. On some phones, you would find settings for different frame rates. So there's 24 frames, 30 frames, and 60 frames. Most phones don't go above 60. 24 is your standard. 24 and 30 is your standard. If you want to film with 60, 60 gives you the ability to have smooth flowings, slowed down shots. If you want to have those types of images in your composition, it's great for that. And yeah, it also kind of makes it feel a little bit more HD as well. Depending on your device, you can probably shoot between HD, FHD, and 4K. Yeah. So the higher the quality, the bigger your file size, but it looks the cleanest on your social media. So if you can manage the space on your phone, shoot in the 4K, edit, post, and then get rid of the files. Or upload it to like drives or something if you want to edit further. Then we talk about ISO, which is your camera's sensitivity for light. If your ISO is low, you tend to get less grain or that graininess in your camera and your image. It's a low ISO balance with the right shutter speed can give you a clean, crisp image, and it's ideal in good light. If you, however, are in low light settings, sometimes your phone will adapt to a high ISO, but you can adjust it in some devices yourself. The brighter your image would become, however, the brighter it is, the more noise that you have in the image. So it gives you a bit more of a grainy look. The aperture, well, on iPhones, this is fixed per lens, but in the cinematic mode, you can have a bit of change in it. I'm not sure if Samsung would allow you to have changes in your aperture as well, but basically an aperture basically tells you the size of your lens opening. So a wide aperture would give you more light, more shallow, and a more shallow depth of field. So what that means is that your background is going to have more blur in it if there is a wide aperture versus a narrow one. So if you ever hear people talk about f-stops or f1.8, f2.4, whatever it is, that is the amount of light that the camera is basically allowing inside. So it's the size of the lens that is opening towards capturing that light to create that depth between your subject so your footage doesn't look flat. If you have a narrow aperture, which is around that f16, you'll have less light and basically everything is in focus. So for right now, if you watch my screen, this would be a narrow aperture because it's my front camera and there's everything in focus. However, some settings in things allow you to kind of have false or fake or full blurs to their background. And you can add that in there. Then the last bit I would say is exposure compensation. And that's basically you could brighten or darken images without changing your settings. So now I'm gonna pass back over to Giselle. And she can take us from there. Yeah. Just you're muted.
Sorry about that. You all had any questions in terms of what Kelly just presented in terms of setting your camera, phones, and so forth to create your shoots and so forth? Odysseus, Andrew, if you all had any questions.
No, everything is straightforward.
Not a question. I do appreciate the explanation, especially regarding ISO. Not a question. I really appreciate it.
Kelly, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. Asha?
Andrew. Oh. I don't know if you heard this question.
I said something about.
Oh, no, I wasn't asking a question. I was saying I appreciate the explanation. Regarding the ISO. It was something I was never clear.
Okay, no problem. Understand.
No problem. All right, guys. So what we will do, because it's just, I think, about two of you guys that are here still, what we'll do is just go through the assignment and what is asked of you for next week. For those who weren't able to do the assignments for this week, I will drop the presentations in a drive for you and send over by tomorrow so that you all can go back and see the information there and come prepared for the next class to present on the two assignments. So for the assignment for next week, we want you all to create a reel again, but this time using the tools that Kelly would have just discussed in terms of the settings, using your phone and so forth to set up, and also to use AI to guide you with a content plan. So that would be your content pillars, at least 3 to 5, as well as a content calendar. And from that, we would like you all to create a reel, going back to last week's class now, utilizing a hook again, but it's a visual, audio, or text hook, so that you all can present at the next session. All right. So let me see. Tomorrow morning, I will upload all the information to the drive for you guys. And if you all have any questions, you all can shoot us an email as well. when you all start to actually put your assignment together. Anybody had any questions on last week's presentation or anything from today? Feel free to let us know.
I don't think I have your email addresses. So if you can just run those by me then.
Okay, let me put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Kels, you can drop your email in the chat as well.
Okay, no problem.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. So if you all have no questions, we will close up a bit earlier today. I'll see you on a bit if you all need to copy the email addresses. And that's it for today. For next week's class, we will look at monetizing your content, as well as we would dive a bit into TikTok. Kelly, in terms of next week's content, what are you looking at presenting for that?
In terms of next week, did we do writing?
Copywriting?
I don't think it's copywriting in order to script writing.
Oh, you wanted to do some script writing, you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we could dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
No problem. So thank you guys.
We can do character development for the personal brands and script writing.
Okay, no problem. So guys, thank you for coming to today's class. We'll see you all next week, Tuesday again at 5:30 p.m. and also next week, Wednesday, which will be the final class from 5:30 as well to 8:30. So that will be the last two sessions. So as much as you can, feel free to attend. And for those who may not have come today, if you all know them personally, to share the content and so forth with them as well. All right.
Okay.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yes. Yeah, have a good
Thank
Yes, have a
you.
good night. This was a wonderful session.
Awesome. Right, Zario. Have a good night.
Hey, yes, Giselle, have a great night. It was a
Bye.
fantastic session.
Awesome.
Yeah, touched on a lot of points that we will definitely be expanding upon, especially for those that want to do a little bit of the micro dramas in terms of filmmaking. So it's good. It's a good introduction for them.
Awesome.
All right, great.
Fine.
Yes, and Kelly, thank you so much. That was great in terms of your discussion that you had there. I probably, and I know it will go a little bit too deep to talk about like color theory and all of that.
I mean, we could do a light touching on it so that they have like a general introduction to it. We can do that.
Yeah, for them for the branding as well too, you know.
and to
Mhm.
avoid the things that look like a 90s magazine and those kind of things like that, those sort
Yeah.
of things. So unless that's the look that they're going for, but of course,
Yeah.
it's important to look at that and consider what their color theory is. I like it. I really like it so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Just we can actually add that in for next week, and we could look at some of the local brands and show them like the Caribbean brands
Mhm.
that like Caribbean Airlines, Carib, um, like those who have like prominent brand colors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. That'd be great. And you touched on some things there. One of the things I think is that you probably undersold was the need for that, color grading and making sure that the shots are looking good there and the exposure triangle.
Mm-hmm.
You see you started with that with the ISO, and that was good, to
Yeah.
get started there for them.
We would do a session, I think maybe in the last session, just that we'll do a breakdown on a short introduction to editing. So we'll introduce them to like CapCut as a free platform.
Mhm.
And show them like how they can basically edit their content on there and add different effects and color grades and stuff where they don't necessarily have to learn grading themselves, but they have presets that they could use on their footage. So we could touch on that in that session.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. That'll be
No
very good
problem.
for them. I have a question. Are you going to touch on like boosting their post and those sort of things like that, and like when they should and how they probably should do that,
Yes,
for how long?
we were going into monetization today, but I said since not much of them were present again, we will hold off on
Yeah.
that till next week, and we will go into the boosting of the ads and sponsored ads as well
Mhm.
in next session, the next session.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So it was again pretty good, pretty solid. I really liked it. Really appreciate it a lot. All right. So guys, and I guess I'll talk to you later in the week or so, Giselle and and Kelly. And this was wonderful. So you all, I'll stop off and we'll chat. We'll chat later.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.